It's part two of what has been an absolutely entertaining, fascinating, informative discussion with former Golden State Warriors head coach and general manager Garry St. Jean and the voice of the Santa Cruz Warriors and sometimes Golden State Warriors, Kevin Danna. We're going to continue breaking down Game 5 of the NBA Finals and preview Game 6, which hopefully for Dub Nation and the Golden State Warriors' sake will be the last game of the season. And hopefully the Warriors will be hosting that Larry O'Brien Trophy for the fourth time in 8 years. What an incredible accomplishment that could be and hopefully will be. This is Locked On Warriors.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. Garry St. Jean, the former head coach of the Golden State Warriors, Sacramento Kings. Were those the two teams you're the head coach of, Coach? Sorry to be redundant.
Yeah, that was the only ones who would have me.
No, I think that's an incredible run just by itself. And you were also the former general manager of the Golden State Warriors. And Kevin Danna is the voice of the Santa Cruz Warriors, where a lot of these players who are in the NBA Finals have spent a lot of time, Kevin, and you've spent time with them, you've analyzed them, and you're also sometimes the voice of the Golden State Warriors, which that's you two have just had. What a life you two have had. Is there any final thoughts, Coach, to Game 5 before we move on to the Game 6 discussion? Because there is more basketball still to be played. Anything else that stuck out to you? I mean, even if you want to go back to Game 4, just because that game really, to me, is the one that's going to go in the history books, based largely on Stephen Curry's performance. Your final thoughts about these past two games, sir?
Yeah, I thought Boston production from their bench was poor.
Yes.
Not there. And the old expression, role players play better at home. And so a guy like Pritchard, supposedly a pretty darn good shooter, you need him to be an impact guy. White, they need him to be shooting at a higher level. He's been very inconsistent. He's done a very good job, though, defensively on Steph. That's when they go smaller. And so when I look at them, that's a big thing. The other thing for me is, how is Williams' knee? I didn't think he was as big an impact last night as he was, say, in Boston.
You're right.
He's young, and he's been banged up. He's had surgery. They've got 2 days here. They need him to be that rim protector and lob threat. They need Horford. That game 1, he was magnificent. 6 threes? They need him to have a big game. The guy who has played better, and I have to eat some crow here, is Smart. I'm happy when he makes 1 or 2 shots in the first half, because he's going to keep on shooting.
Yeah.
And I would bet some cash that late game, I saw this in game 4, that he took some shots that I thought should have went to Brown or Tatum. And he drives the ball well. He's really strong. We all know about his defense. He's a poor man's Draymond, and he's big. When he scores more than 18, they tend to win.
That's true.
Brown can be a volume shooter. They guarded him terrific last night. But I'm telling you guys, Thursday, he could go for 30 plus. Tatum's got to feel better about himself. He made some shots, but he disappeared in the fourth. Was it fatigue? I don't know. Was it play?
It looked like it. I mean, his free throws were short, Coach. I don't usually see that. He was airballing threes.
And we pour all these accolades on him. I don't know if he should have been first team All-Pro. I don't know if it should have been Booker.
Agreed.
His inconsistency. He's going to get better. He's young. He's like Luka. He's like 23 or 24. But they need him to have a huge game. And,
you're absolutely right.
There's no margin for error. Whereas the Warriors are going there, what's the expression? They're playing with house money.
Yep.
They're going to let it rip. You watch. And they know how to do it, because they're going to bring smarts and intelligence, but they're going to let you know they're ready to put you away. And so this game, to me, is going to be fascinating again.
Incredible. Yeah, great call. Kevin, Any last thoughts from you from these last two games? Coach, I do agree with you that the Celtics basically went with a 6-man rotation in Game 5. I know Grant Williams played 16 minutes. They were largely ineffective, inconsequential. I've been saying from the start that the Warriors' strength by far over the Celtics is their depth. They can go 10 deep and not lose an inch of talent in the process. I mean, they're just
Strength
that good.
in numbers.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely right. Kevin, your thoughts on just as we're finishing up the talk on these incredible games 4 and 5.
Yeah, I mean, the free throws were kind of interesting, right? Like so Jason Tatum was 2 of 6, and if I remember correctly, he had 2 separate 0 for 2 trips to the line.
That's right.
Which I mean,
Correct.
just wow. Like they went 21 of 31, and I mean the game wasn't as close as a 10-point difference, and I hate to play they missed 10 free throws and lost by 10 points because, percentage-wise, no one's going to shoot 100%, 31 of 31 from the line. But, to Gary's point, and you touched on it, Cyrus, like the bench was pretty non-existent. They essentially had 4 bench points. If you take out the Nesmith free throws in the final 79 seconds and the Luke Cornett 3, which I'm not going to count for actual bench. So, meaningful bench points were 31-4 Golden State in this game. Just blew them out the water with what Poole and Payton did off the bench, and not to mention Kevon Looney, who, didn't have that big of an impact as he usually does because of those 3 fouls in the first half in 3 minutes and 38 seconds. Jeff Van Gundy's been saying that he feels like Looney is setting legal screens that are getting called illegal screens in this series. And there was one of those in that first half. It's from my, pea brain perspective it's tough for me to say, oh, that's an illegal screen or that's not, like, especially in live action. Like, you slow it down, all right, maybe you'd be able to tell. But so I don't know. Yeah, let's chat some Game 6 because it could be over on Thursday. I'll save my thoughts on whether it will be over on Thursday until later in the discussion. But
let's hope. I want to first play a soundbite for you, gentlemen, because ABC obviously is broadcasting the NBA Finals games, and I have a hard time understanding. Maybe it's above my pay grade in terms of why ESPN just cannot replicate the incredible video production, cinematography success of TNT in terms of their broadcasts, and TNT kind of absorbed NBA TV as well. And the reason why I bring this up is because in the post game of last night, I believe this was on Scott Van Pelt's show, you had one of ESPN's reporters making these comments about the Golden State Warriors, and I'd love your thoughts.
Because Andrew Wiggins, he's not an underdog. He makes $32 million. While the Warriors were down these last couple of years, winning no games, they kept spending money because they've got it. They re-signed Draymond Green. They re-signed Steph Curry. They re-signed Kevon Looney. They kept Andrew Wiggins. And boy, did it show up tonight. Andrew Wiggins, with the supreme moment in his career, he was a throw-in a trade. Other teams would have totally gotten rid of him. They stuck with him. They have a $340 million payroll when you consider taxes. You don't just have to beat the Warriors on the court. You got to beat their checkbook. And nothing away from Andrew Wiggins tonight, but this was a checkbook win.
A checkbook win is what was called there. Your thoughts on this new narrative that's being perpetuated?
Well, Brian Windhorse covered Cleveland when LeBron was there, and his nickname is Windy. And he's blowing a lot of wind. I'm going to tell you guys, that's sour grapes to me. And you need to look at this big circle. And obviously, it starts with the fans and their passion for this franchise. And then you have this ownership group who's committed to winning, putting a great product on the floor. And the example is Chase. And then you've got this great front office that should be an all-star mentioned because they generate more revenue than any other team in the league. I don't care if it's sales of merchandise, whether parking structures, whether it's food and beverage, whatever. They do a magnificent job to the point where they're killing the Lakers and the Knicks, the other huge market. So kudos to them. And what does that do? That allows them to have a revenue stream to pay and to reward these players for their stellar play. So instead of saying, these cynical remarks about the Warriors. It's a copycat league. How about you other teams doing a better job?
Yeah.
In all the areas that I mentioned. Listen, when I was a kid, I was a Red Sox fan. I would cry grapes about the Yankees all the time, and Mickey Mantle and all those guys. Oh, they got all these great players in the Yankee Stadium. And we got that little bandbox that seats 33,000 at Fenway Park. I don't have any sympathy, or I don't know what words I should use for Windhorse, because that to me is baloney. That was genius to get Wingate.
And
really
Bob Myers has commented on this as well, saying, how can anyone blame the Warriors for drafting as well as they have? I mean, all they're doing is paying their drafted talent. Even Andrew Wiggins, you could trace his history back to Harrison Barnes. I mean, that's ultimately where that salary slot came from. Kevin, any thoughts from you before we move on to Game 6?
Yeah, a couple of thoughts. For like when I heard the phrase, I started laughing because it reminded me of I believe it was Dave McMenamin who called Steph Curry a collaborative talent. So now we got these two great phrases in Warriors lore: collaborative talent and checkbook win. I love both of them. I love Brian Windhorse. I think he's awesome. I want to say he covered LeBron James at St. Vincent St. Mary's. I want to say that's how he got his start.
No, that's true.
I'm a big fan of his Hoop Collective podcast. He is very plugged in. I think he does a fantastic job. My whole thing with the spending money is like, isn't that what you're supposed to do? Like, if you have the money and you're serious about winning a championship, you spend money to win it. Like, we see this in every sport. George Steinbrenner, I mean, there's no salary cap in baseball, but George Steinbrenner, I just got into Formula One, like Mercedes and Ferrari and Red Bull, their budgets are so much more than like the Williams and the Haases of the world who are always at the bottom of the drivers' championships, the constructors' championships and stuff. Like, Man City and soccer, like they spend an arm and a leg on that rod. Like, this happens everywhere. So I don't know like why this is a special case. And I'm not saying that he's making this out to be a special case. I don't know the true or what his motivations were behind saying it. Like, he wasn't wrong. The Warriors have spent money, but like, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to spend money. If you want to win, you spend money to get the best players possible. I thought that was the object of professional sports.
Yeah,
and I don't know why this is a big talking point. Personally,
it is. That's. I just wanted to point that out because that's what was said immediately post game. Look, Locked On Warriors is brought to you by one of the greatest video games, in my opinion, that's ever been made, NBA Jam. The phrase "boom shakalaka" originated there, and guess what? The folks at Arcade 1UP have brought this incredible game back. You've got NBA licensed teams, you've got no fouls, you've got no free throws, you've got no quarters, just the best parts of an NBA game in a video game. You can compete with friends and family through all new Wi-Fi leaderboards. You can be more connected than ever. Pre-order now from arcade1up.com. That's arcade, the number one, up.com for an estimated early September ship date. Arcade 1UP is the place for fun. They've even got more classics like Golden Tee. I've spent hours at bars playing that game in San Francisco. There was one bar in Chinatown, I remember. We spent an exorbitant amount of time just to play Golden Tee there with that spinning wheel. Mortal Kombat and many other games starting at just $399. And check this out. They are giving away a NBA Jam Shaq edition to a Locked On listener. Enter for a chance to win a game console for your man cave at arcade1up.com/locked on. That's arcade, the number one, up.com/locked on. You've got till July 8th to enter to win NBA Jam Shaq edition console. Don't miss out. Enter today. Who are you going to play with?
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. The ultimate NBA mock draft starts June 16th with over 50 insiders. Nothing equals the ultimate NBA mock draft, the Locked On NBA Big Board draft experts, plus the Odyssey insiders. First pick is June 16th. Search Ultimate NBA Mock Draft and follow now so you don't miss a pick. You can follow Kevin Danna on Twitter at Kevo408, the former head coach of the Sacramento Kings and the Golden State Warriors and former general manager of the Golden State Warriors, Garry St. Jean, too cool for social media, and rightfully so. He joins us as well. Thanks for just putting up with these jokes. Yeah,
if I may make a quick point, since you plugged my Twitter.
Yes.
On my Twitter page, you can vote. I created a poll. Which phrase do you like better, collaborative talent or checkbook win? Right now, there's 17 votes. It's a close one.
There you go. And just go to Kevin Danna's Twitter account at Kevo408. Coach, let's move on to Game 6. It kind of bums me out that the Warriors have to go back to that hostile environment. In a perfect world, they already won the championship, but they haven't yet. They still have to win one more game, and this is a tough opponent. Give us your first thoughts, your first reaction to the Warriors traveling back to Boston for Game 6.
Well, it's been ages since Boston lost 2 games in a row, and their backs are to the wall. I think they're going to come out with a great effort. Al Horford is a great locker room presence, and he'll explain things to the players, player to player. And I like the job that Ime Udoka's done. He's brought a steady feel for this team on both ends of the floor. I think they're at their best, though, when they get the ball moving a little bit more. I know they're going to defend well. I think they'll rebound well. And listen, I'm getting repetitive, but they got to take care of the ball. And that, to me, is a sign of a young team. A veteran team doesn't throw it around like that. We've talked about them having a lot. We didn't compliment enough the Warriors in Game 5. What did they have, 6, 7?
Turnovers.
Like
Correct.
Yeah, that
Correct.
is fabulous. Let me tell you something, guys. If you're the coach and you pick up that sheet when they Raymond Ritter and the crew bring it into you, that's one of the first things you look at is your assist-turnover ratio. Now, we haven't seen many games, and this is the credit to both defenses. We've seen a lot of 30-assist games with the Warriors.
Yeah.
And I think the highest they've had is, 22, 24, somewhere in there?
Yeah, 23 in Game 5, yeah.
Okay, so it's telling me that the defense is really locked. And so you got to tighten things up just a little bit and understand on the road, the margin of error is tough. But I think the Warriors are ready for the challenge. But I have a lot of respect for Boston. Would I be shocked if we come back for Game 7? No.
Same.
The 3-ball, we've seen it in Game 1. We've seen it in the last game in the third quarter. The 3-ball can turn the game around within 5 or 10 minutes when one team gets hot. Might be the Warriors' time.
I hope so. Kevin, I'm going to get your thoughts in just a second. I'm going to give some love real quick to Rock Auto just because in this day and age when gas prices, I don't know what's going on. I've never in my life, I don't think anyone's in their life ever seen it at this level. It's I don't know what word to choose that won't offend the listeners to describe how high these prices are, but people have to find a way to save money in this day and age with inflation, especially affecting gas prices. And if you're driving around, Rock Auto is one of those solutions for you. You can also avoid going to your local auto parts chain store. You can avoid people in this day and age. It's not like we're out of a pandemic yet. You can order parts from your home. Just go to rockauto.com, whether it's on your computer, on your mobile device. Save time and money when using Rock Auto. Why choose to spend 30%, 50%, even 100% more for the same parts from a chain store or car dealership? An example being a Honda Odyssey fuel pump. It's $353 from a chain store, but from Rock Auto, it's only $216. They're a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Their prices are reliably low for every customer. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. Make sure to go check out the Locked On NBA Big Board. Host Rafael Barlow from NBA Draft Junkies and author of the NBA Big Board newsletter is joined by Richard Stamen, Sam Ferris, and Leif Thulin, giving fans an in-depth look into the NBA draft, mock draft, player rankings, and of course, the big boards. It's free and available wherever you get podcasts. Garry St. Jean, former head coach of the Golden State Warriors, former general manager for the Golden State Warriors, joins us along with Kevin Danna. You can follow Kevin on Twitter at Kevo408, where he has a great poll that we all highly encourage you to go engage and vote on. Kevin, your thoughts on Game 6?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a significantly more difficult game than Game 5 was, and even more difficult than Game 4. Like, the Celtics have their backs against it's not even a proverbial wall anymore. It is the wall. This is, you hear all this is a game a must win. Well, it's a must win, especially now for Boston. Like, there is no tomorrow if they don't win on June 16th. I think that the Boston Celtics are going to come out with their hair on fire. I think like they are going to give a hell of a first punch in this game. And like they've been here before and they've done it arguably in tougher circumstances. They were down 3-2 heading into Milwaukee for a Game 6 after they absolutely blew a Game 5. They were up 12 or 14 points in the fourth quarter, I want to say. A Game 5 at home, tricked it off, and yeah, no Chris Middleton for the Bucks, but I expected that series to be over right there. I thought the Celtics were going to be done, and it was going to be the Bucks on to the conference finals and then to the NBA finals. But they found a way. I mean, they really ran away from the Bucks on the road in Game 6. I mean, it was close in the fourth quarter, but by the end of the game, it wasn't that close, and then just obliterated them back in Game 7. So I say all this to say this. They've been in this situation before. They've been in closeout games on the road, and now that they have an elimination game at home, like I don't think they're going to be phased at all. I mean, I especially expect Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum to get to their spots better than they did in Game 5. Whether that results in a better field goal percentage for Jaylen Brown, which I assume is going to happen. Garry, you mentioned wouldn't be surprised if Jaylen Brown went for 30. I wouldn't be surprised either. I mean, he had that. I think it was the end of the third quarter last night. The Warriors had just taken the lead, and he got the lead back for Boston. I mean, this is incredible and one with the left hand. Like his athleticism is through the roof. So this is going to be more than a dogfight for Golden State. I do not expect a walk in the old park.
I want to ask you two gentlemen this. I have two remaining questions, and then we'll call it a day. The Celtics have played two more postseason games than the Golden State Warriors entering the NBA Finals, and they played a lot more high-intensity games than the Warriors in the sense of two straight Game 7s that were draining. I saw a Celtics team in Game 5 and it was the first time I saw this all series that was exhausted. They gave their all in the third quarter, but I also saw them gassed in the fourth. I'm starting to see Al Horford show signs of exhaustion. At 36, I think he's showing his age a little bit. Robert Williams on a bum knee. Do the Celtics, in your opinion, have enough gas left in the tank? Will we see any signs of wariness, of exhaustion in Game 6? I'll start with you, Coach.
Playing at home will help. It really will. And again, they need some productivity so that Epic can keep those guys on the floor. I'm talking Pritchard and Williams and White, that they earn minutes because he's looking, and he looked to his left and right. He didn't have anybody to put in there last night. And as far as the Warriors go, let me, again, Kevin likes this. I'm the president of the Steve Kerr fan club.
Okay.
Everybody would say, oh, how come he's not playing more? Listen, their management of minutes is second to none.
Yes.
Mike Brown is Houdini. He loves this stuff on his iPad, figuring out matchups and who's playing and all that. And I'm telling you guys, they say, well, how come he's only playing them 32, 33 minutes? They should be playing 38, 42. Let me tell you something. That means something. You're keeping these guys mentally and physically as fresh as they possibly can be.
Kevin, your thoughts?
Yeah, I want to piggyback off Gary's comment about how well Kerr manages minutes, and it brought a couple of things into mind with regard to the non-Steph minutes in Game 5. They got, I mean, it might not have helped them in live action, but it was kind of a boost towards the end where they brought Steph to the scores table around 8 minutes to go in the second quarter, and there wasn't another whistle until under 7 minutes. So that bought him like an extra 60 to 70 seconds of rest that they weren't expecting.
Yeah.
And then they started the fourth quarter so well that they didn't need to bring him in, 2.5 minutes into the fourth quarter. And then they closed the game so well that Steph only played 6 minutes and 25 seconds in the fourth quarter. I am a little surprised that Boston's bench, if you look at kind of the depth of their bench, and I love these guys because I've watched a lot of them, but just this, I don't want this to be taken the wrong way, but like when beyond your top 9, if you include Daniel Tice, you have a bunch of guys who this year or last year, like, were playing on G League contracts.
Yep.
It's tough to, like you mentioned, Gary, to throw someone else into the fire. And the Warriors just have that much more depth. I mean, it's nothing against Jawan Morgan, Sam Hauser, Luke Cornett, and Malik Fitz.
Look at him.
But it's and Nick Stauskas as well. But it's just that you probably have like 2 or 3 of those guys on your roster traditionally, but the Celtics have like 5 of those guys on their roster. And I think they are capable NBA players, but Ime knows his roster better, and he has decided that they are not capable of helping them in the NBA Finals. And so to me, that's concerning that, yeah, you probably only play 8 guys in the NBA Finals, but like that drop off from 8 to 9, or I guess, Tice is a legitimate NBA rotation player. But the drop off from 9 to 10 is so much more steep for the Celtics than it is for Golden State.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, to me, that's a little concerning if I'm the Boston Celtics. Like that, my bench needs to be.
Quick point before your last question.
Please.
Why do we get veteran minimum guys? Why do we get Bielitsa and Porter? Why? Because of Steph Curry and the culture and the chemistry. And they know this team top to bottom, ownership, management, players, everybody's on the same page. And it all starts with the guy who was 0 for 9 last night from 3.
Yep. And that's the note I'm going to finish on, and that's going to be predictions for Game 6. I don't feel confident making a prediction for Game 6. I feel like it could go either way, but I will say this. This Warriors finals run, especially now, reminds me a lot of 2015. The Warriors did go into Cleveland in a Game 6 that a lot of people did think would go 7 games, especially playing against a LeBron James-led Cavaliers team. And the Warriors understood how dangerous a Game 7 scenario could be. In a one-game winner-take-all, anything could happen. And they took care of business. Stephen Curry, I don't think he's going to come back playing similarly to he did in Game 5. I think he's going to light it up from beyond the arc and just overall. I think he's going to pull out every ounce of energy he has. I think Game 6 Clay will make yet another appearance, this time to win a championship for the Golden State Warriors. So I do feel confident. But at the same time, the Celtics team, I respect them tremendously. It would not surprise me if the series goes 7 games. Final thoughts. I don't know who to go to first. Whoever wants to take it first.
You summarized it beautifully. Respect.
Thank you, sir.
For the Celtics.
Thank you, sir.
They are a quality opponent. And yet we're feeling confident that if it's not Thursday, it's going to be Sunday, that the Warriors are going to get this done. But this has been a tremendous series, and I think you hit it right on the head.
Yeah, I mean,
sir, thank you.
Definitely great breakdown, Cyrus. I was just looking up Morton's locations in Boston because I remember that's where they celebrate. You mentioned the 2015 NBA Finals. They had a nice team dinner at Morton's afterwards. I think I give the
love
Celtics.
Morton's. Love it.
It is great restaurant.
Best steak, amazing steak, yeah.
Oh, Fantastic. I give the Celtics a 58 to 59% chance of winning Game 6. I've said Warriors in 7 from the start. I'm not gonna stop that. I'm not gonna stop that prediction right here. So yeah, I I think we're just reading a private chat here.
Yeah.
I do think that the Celtics more likely than not push this to Game 7, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Warriors win it in Game 6.
Yeah.
So or Cyrus, I heard you say, I respect the Celtics. I wouldn't be surprised if they push it to Game 7. I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if the Warriors finish in 6. So like a little more kind of on thinking that the Celtics are going to push this to a Game 7. But again, these are the Warriors. They know how to win on the road. And Boston is not a very good home team, despite probably having a top 3 home court advantage in the NBA.
Weird yet true.
Yes.
Say what you want about the Celtics fans being vulgar. They are some of the most passionate fans in the NBA. And the Garden, the TD Garden is not an easy place to play. And I think it's going to be that much tougher for Game 6. I mean, Thursday night, they're going to start the weekend early. Those 9 p.m. tips times, let everyone, they get a couple of, it's not Gary's vintage wines, but, maybe, as Janos might say, a whiskey will be poor for these Celtics fans.
I'm a Scotch man myself, so I get it. Coach Garry St. Jean, I cannot thank you enough. Kevin Danna, I cannot thank you enough. This was a phenomenal 2-parter that we just produced here. I'm sure the fans and even non-fans of the Warriors will love this. Coach, your son is an assistant with the Dallas Mavericks, and you have a beautiful family. Congratulations, sir. Anything you'd like to promote before we call it a wrap? Anything going on that you want to mention?
I'm a grateful old NBA guy and love chatting ball with you guys, and maybe we'll do it again when they win this thing.
Oh, I would love that, sir. Let's plan on that. Kevin, any last words? Anything you'd like to promote? You can follow Kevin Danna on Twitter at Kevo408. Anything else? Yeah, before we call it
go see Greg St. Jean in the movie Hustle on Netflix. He's
Is he in there?
He's got a little part, so it's a great movie.
I'm
Anthony
watching
Edwards
that movie.
is fantastic in that movie.
Yeah,
by the way,
great.
I was gonna watch. Yeah, that's high on my list. It's on Netflix. The Adam Sandler flick.
Blue shirt, middle of the movie.
Okay.
Beautiful. I'm watching. There we go. And Dub Nation, let's go Warriors. Let's hope they close this out Thursday night. And if not, we got a Game 7 coming. But these are the Golden State Warriors. This is a dynasty. Just don't be surprised if they do finish this in Game 6, because they do understand the urgency. Gentlemen, thank you so much. This was a great show. And thank you, everyone.